A dimly lit bedroom, adorned with posters of famous poets and writers. The room is cluttered with books and papers strewn about, reflecting the chaotic mind of the protagonist. In the quiet solitude of her room, Esther Greenwood, a young aspiring writer, finds herself entangled in the web of her own thoughts and emotions. Esther, an American young woman in her early 20s, with a contemplative expression on her face, sits at a desk covered in scribbled notes. She absent-mindedly moves her finger across the rim of a glass bell jar placed before her. Esther deeply loved her father, but she lost him in her childhood. She also has a complex and difficult relationship with her mother. The prominent role of her father's absence is always evident in her interactions with men. Esther, plagued by an overwhelming sense of confusion and disillusionment, gazes at the bell jar, a metaphor for her own suffocating mental state. The camera zooms in on Esther's face, capturing the flicker of pain in her eyes. Memories and fragments of her past intermingle with her present reality, blurring the boundaries between time and space. Esther's childhood home, a suburban house with manicured lawns and wide picket fences. Young Esther, a bright and curious girl, sits in the backyard, scribbling stories in a tattered notebook. In her formative years, Esther's creative spirit burned brightly. She possessed a vivid imagination that transported her to realms of endless possibilities. Her high school grades were excellent, and she was an outstanding student who was accepted into university. Esther faces the challenge of finding herself in college, as the pressure to fit in conflicts with her desire to stay true to her unique identity. Esther Greenwood, whose short story had won a competition in a fashion magazine, spends a month of the summer of 1953 in New York City, along with 11 other talented and ambitious young women. This 1 month trip takes place in the same summer that the Rosenbergs were executed, and at the time when American intellectuals were becoming increasingly caught in the grip of Senator McCarthy's power. In the heart of the city's vibrant artistic scene, Esther indulged in newfound freedom, but beneath the surface, the weight of societal expectations lingers. For Esther, it is difficult to accept the double standard by which the behavior of women and men is judged, while her mother, grandmother, and a famous female lawyer who writes for the newspaper all expect Esther to preserve her virginity for her future husband. Esther's suitor Buddy Willard casually tells her that he has been seduced by a nurse at his summer workplace and has been having a relationship with her at least 3 times a week. Esther concludes that Buddy Willard is a hypocrite. Later, where her psychoanalyst teaches her that it is impossible to avoid pregnancy, Esther decides to free herself from the burden of her virginity. From the moment I had heard the stories of the body's sexual behavior, my own virginity had become like a milestone around my neck. For a long time, It had been such an important part of me that I had never questioned it, but now it seemed to be my greatest source of shame. I had been guarding it for years, and I couldn't think of it as anything but a burden. Esther navigates the complexities of relationships and sexuality, attempting to find connection and meaning in a world that often feels disconnected and void of meaning. A crowded subway train. Esther stands amidst the sea of anonymous faces, her eyes searching for a glimpse of authenticity. In the midst of the city's hustle and bustle, Esther yearned for genuine human connection. She grappled with feelings of isolation and the fear of losing herself in the process. Amidst the excitement and the allure of the city, Esther struggles to reconcile her own desires with the pressures placed upon her by society. She grapples with feelings of an inadequacy and the fear of losing herself in the pursuit of success. Ultimately, depression prevails. In a claustrophobic setting, Esther confesses that it does not matter where she is, whether in New York or Paris. In the best or worst of circumstances, she always feels as if she is trapped inside a glass bubble with a tail, thin air from which she cannot escape. In this unparalleled description of depression, Esther exerts every effort to experience liberation through suicide. She decides to try to drown herself in the ocean. Cal swims out with her, but decides he cannot make it to the rock that is their destination. Esther continues swimming, thinking she will continue until she tries, and then let herself drown. However, the suicide attempt is not successful. And Esther is sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. Esther lies in a hospital bed, surrounded by medical professionals in white coats. The sterile environment contrasts sharply with her disheveled appearance. Caught in a downward spiral of depression, Esther finds herself confined within the walls of a psychiatric institution. The bell jar has closed in on her. Through therapy sessions and introspection, Esther begins to confront her inner demons. Slowly finding glimmers of hope amidst the darkness. She forms connections with fellow patients who share their own stories of struggle and survival. A tranquil countryside. Esther walks barefoot through a field of wildflower. Her face illuminated by a soft golden light. In the midst of her journey towards self-discovery, Esther rediscovered the beauty of life itself. The bell jar cracks open, releasing her from its suffocating grip. Embracing the healing power of nature, Esther finds solace and clarity. She delves into her writings, using it as a means of self-expression and catharsis. Through her words, she explores the complexities of her own experiences, giving voice to her pain and aspirations. Esther's writing becomes a source of empowerment as she shares her story with honesty and vulnerability. Her words resonate with readers who connect with her struggles and triumphs, sparking conversations about mental health and the importance of self-discovery. A grand lecture hall. Esther stands at the podium, addressing a captivated audience. Esther's journey extends beyond the pages of her own story. Her words ignite a spark within others, encouraging them to question societal norms and embrace their authentic selves. Esther becomes an advocate for mental health awareness, using her platform to break the stigma surrounding mental illness. She engages in public speaking events, participates in panel discussions, and collaborates with organizations dedicated to supporting individuals struggling with their mental well-being. Esther sits in a cozy cafe, surrounded by a circle of diverse individuals. They engage in a deep conversation, sharing their stories of resilience and growth. Esther forms profound connections with fellow survivors, creating a community of support and understanding. Together, they find a strength in vulnerability and inspire each other to embrace their own journeys of self-discovery. As Esther's influence grows, her writings evolve into a powerful force for social change. She becomes an influential voice in literature, shaping the dialogue around mental health, identity, and the pursuit of personal fulfillment. An award ceremony. Esther stands on a stage, receiving a prestigious literary accolade. The audience erupts into thunderous applause. Esther's unwavering determination and unwavering commitment to sharing her truth are recognized and celebrated. Her impact transcends the written word, leaving an indelible mark on the world. The credits roll, accompanied by a soul-stirring musical score. Leaving the audience with a profound sense of introspection and a desire to explore the complexities of their own lives. Even at a young age, and before her self-inflicted death, Sylvia Plath was considered one of the prominent literary figures of the 20th century. With her fresh poetry and writings, she was a sincere and truthful writer and a confessional and transparent poet who drew most of her words from her personal life. As she said, "The heroine of my book will be myself in disguise." Plath's only novel was published about a month before her death. The Bell Jar, published under the pseudonym Victoria Lucas instead of the author's name, was a semi-autobiographical novel about moments in her life. The protagonist of the story, Esther Greenwood, is a young, beautiful, and intelligent American girl who is on the path of mental collapse. The descriptions and their many similarities to the truth of the author's life and those around her were so much that it provoked the anger and sadness of many people. Although all the names in the book are pseudonyms, Sylvia's mother has long opposed the publication of the book, and even one of Plath's friends claimed that the details of the book damaged her relationship with her husband. Ted Hughes, the poet and Plath's husband, sees the bell jar as a criticism of the interactions of those around her and the wrong and cruel methods of the doctors of that time, such as electroshock therapy. Although this novel is a deeply personal experience, reading it may be painful for some and empathetic for others. In the end, the novel is an irreplaceable description of the voice of a woman struggling with a troubling problem, which may be helpful for anyone to read, both those who suffer from depression and all others who need to know what is going on in the mind of a person suffering from this disease. Thank you for listening. Bye.